Well, the industrial segment, as you say, has performed very strongly. In fact, the first quarter, it struggled a little bit because we had a downturn in microelectronic manufacturing in China. That has passed now, and that picked up very strongly across the year. And we've got strong orders going into 2017. The big news story, I think, in industrials has been the telecommunications side. So we're both on the land-based telecommunications and also the undersea cabling. The land-based telecommunications, we do the sort of the difficult to do bit, the high margin bit, which are the modulation systems. And they're based on the crystals, lithium niobate crystals. We grow those crystals in our Cleveland facility, and then we cut the wafers in our Fremont facility in Northern California. That's done very well. But the area that's done particularly well has been the undersea telecommunications side. What we make there is we make these high reliability fiber couplers that go in the amplifiers, which are put on the bottom of the seabed. And this is a business that's typically got a sort of 2-3 year cycle. But this year has been a big year for it, and last year was a big year. And if you look forward to 2017 and then even into 2018, we've got good orders for that. In fact, the uptick year on year has been about 2.5 times. And the primary driver for that has been the entry of the Silicon Valley companies with strong balance sheets who want to lay their own cables and have their own worldwide network. And that's been extraordinary in terms of the uptick of our fiber coupling business. So that's done extremely well in 16, and we expect that to go well into 17 and into 18. Well, aerospace and defense is a little bit like life sciences. We've got 63% of our business in industrials. And if one part of industrials is down a little bit, you can always expect another part to be up, as we saw in 2016. We believe aerospace and defense in particular, and also life sciences, are places which are excellent for our technology. They're also probably better than industrials for us to move up the value chain and create full subsystems rather than just critical components. The aerospace and defense area, though, can be affected by just 1 or 2 customers who perhaps we've got a little bit of price pressure, or some of the orders are put back. And we had a couple of contracts which were put back, and we had some price pressure in our navigation systems defense area, which is why it was flat year on year. But in terms of going forward, we believe this is a fantastic area for us. If you look at what's happening in aerospace and defense, there's a move to fiber optics. So fiber optics tend to be probably more robust, more efficient, lighter. And so you're seeing a lot of subsystems and systems move into fiber optics over time. Also infrared technology, which is a particular speciality of us. We've just introduced a shortwave infrared lens assembly, which enables you to see in low light environments and to see through fog and mist. That's particularly good in security and surveillance and defense applications. So we believe our technology in aerospace and defense is where it's going. So we're investing in R&D. I've given you an example of where we're investing in R&D, but also in terms of acquisitions. So in July of this year, we did 2 aerospace and defense acquisitions. One of them based in the UK, Kent Periscopes. Kent Periscopes are a maker of periscopes and sights for land-based armoured vehicles. And also Alphalite, who are based in Madison, Wisconsin, which is a business based around diode lasers in security and surveillance and defense applications. Very similar to our Boston business, so we're in the process of transferring that Alphalite business, doing a tech transfer into our Boston site, and that should be completed by the end of the year. The Kent Periscopes acquisition, that's already a good, viable, growing, profitable business, but they're UK based. It's very difficult to enter the US defense market unless you're actually based in the United States and you've got US citizens that are interacting with the US defense companies and the US military. We've obviously got that. We've got 5 sites in the United States. 2 of those sites are defense sites, and so we can leverage that opportunity with that acquisition. So we intend to do more of that kind of thing and also invest in R&D. And we believe our core technology is the direction of travel within aerospace and defense. So we're very excited about the opportunities there, but the key for us is to get it to a critical mass where if you've got one customer perhaps not doing as well that particular year, you've got some offset, rather like we have in industrial. So that's the basic strategy there. Well, in terms of profit, we were flat, so I think that's worth saying. Life sciences, again, similar to aerospace and defense in the sense that it's an area which is very much a good area for our technologies. If you look at the core technologies that we've got in life sciences, it really splits into two. We've got laser surgery. That's a bit of a boom area at the moment. So laser surgery, for instance, the NHS uses laser surgery for prostate surgery. I think everybody's familiar with laser eye surgery, cosmetic surgery, tattoo removal. So there are lots of areas that are currently using, on a worldwide basis, laser surgery. That's growing. We believe that'll continue to grow. But also, there'll be other areas of surgery that are going to be using lasers, and we're working with companies on potential there. So that's the area of growth. The area that pulled us back a little bit was OCT, which is optical coherence tomography. It's primarily used at the moment in ophthalmology, so if you wear glasses and you go to the opticians, you'll be offered a 3D image of your retina. Likely as not, the machine that they'll be using will be either using critical components made by Gooch and Housego or the whole subsystem, that the guts of the thing were made by Gooch and Housego. One of our customers didn't have a good year. It's more about life cycle management. They dropped in market share. They've got a new product coming hopefully in 2017, and we're part of that, so we hope that's going to come back. The ophthalmology area is a growing area, but it's a maturing marketplace. The real opportunity, I think, in life sciences comes in using this OCT technology in other areas. So we're working with some large medical diagnostic companies in the United States on cancer detection, cardiovascular disease detection. So we think that's an area where there's going to be significant growth. But rather like aerospace and defense, we're a bit subcritical in terms of size there, and we've got an active program of investing in R&D and also actively looking for acquisitions in order to bulk up and make sure that we get ourselves in a situation that if one customer is down, we've got a compensating factor within that particular sector, much like we have with industrials today. Well, we have a group which we call the Systems Technology Group, and they're based in our Torquay site. At the moment, we've got 30 people in that group. They're typically electronic engineers, software engineers, mechanical engineers, so not in our normal optics area. What they help us do is they take our critical components and package them up. So they put software around them, they put the mechanics around them, and they present a full subsystem to the customer. They've been very effective at doing that in particularly on the aerospace and defense side, and particularly in the life sciences side. So I gave the example of optical coherence tomography with ophthalmology. That's an area where we've been particularly effective at packaging it up. Perhaps the best example within that group is the space satellite communications area. We've got about half of that group working on space satellite communications. And the reason for having that concentration is there's the revolution going on in satellites at the moment. Rather like in aerospace and defense and in life sciences, there's a big move to fiber. Fiber in terms of space is particularly good because it's a pretty robust, it's a more efficient medium. It's a medium that allows you to have laser communication from satellite to satellite and intra-satellite. That's a particularly efficient way of doing it rather than the current method, which is bouncing the signal down to a relay station on Earth and then bouncing it up to the next satellite. But the big economic benefit is that it's about 10% of the weight of what they're currently using. So payload is particularly important in satellites. As you can imagine, the greatest cost is actually putting the satellite in space. So what we're seeing now is a bit of a revolution in terms of who's even being involved in satellites. It's not necessarily the state-sponsored actors, it's commercial companies as well. And we're seeing satellites go from this, what we're all familiar with, these very large satellites, to even small box-shaped satellites where you might fire 100 or so of them up there and create a network. That's happening right now, and we believe that is going to accelerate in pace, and we're right at the cutting edge and the forefront of that. So very excited about what's happening there. It's also fully funded. We have got a $5 million contract, a commercial contract with a commercial organisation. We perhaps didn't expect actually to have commercial contracts at this stage, so we are making a profit from this area, but the rest of the research into space satellite communication is funded by a series of grants from the European Space Agency, the UK Space Agency, and other sources. So that's probably the best example of what that systems technology group is doing. What we will do is we'll add more people as our profits allow. So obviously we've got profit targets that we have to hit at the end of the year, and we try and add people along the way, because we could really take on board perhaps even double the number of people that we've currently got in there and utilise them effectively across the business. Well, this year we spent the money on our Torquay facility. The Torquay facility makes these high reliability fibre couplers that go in undersea cabling. It was a good job that we did spend that money, and we upgraded and we expanded that facility. Otherwise we'd really have struggled to cope with the extra capacity that was required to meet the growth in that area. That's finished now, and that's done. We also spent money on moving our Palo Alto site across the San Francisco Bay to Fremont. If you're familiar with Palo Alto, that's a very expensive part of the world, and we've got a purpose-built facility with 40% more capacity at more or less the same rent. So that's worked out pretty well. The third piece of infrastructure improvement that we're doing is in our Cleveland facility. Cleveland is a very important facility to us in the sense that it's our crystal growth facility. It's also our only electro-optic facility. So it's a very high-tech, profitable site for us. But if you go to that site, it's obvious that it hasn't been upgraded since about the 1980s. So if you look at our other 8 sites, they're all of a very good standard. That one's obviously behind. So we need to upgrade that. If you're familiar with Gooch and Housego and you visited the sites, you'll know that we have customers coming round on a regular basis, sometimes more than once a week, doing quality and compliance checks. So in many ways, the site is the best salesperson for us. So it's very important that we invest in that site. So we'll be investing in that site across 2017. I think we have a capital budget of 7.8 million in 2017. A typical maintenance capital budget is about £3 million. So the bulk of the rest of that will be spent on Cleveland. That should be completed across the course of 2017. When that's done, we'll have made all of the near-term capital investments or large near-term capital investments that we need to do as an organisation. So as you rightly say, we're cash generative. What do we do with the money? Well, the things that we like to do is we invest in the opportunities. The photonics industry probably has more opportunities than we possibly could get at. So it's important that we select and focus on the high return opportunities, and that's something that we've really tried to do over the last couple of years, is put in a process which enables us to select which areas we want to put our resources in. So we'll continue to invest in R&D, and we'll also continue to make acquisitions, and our acquisition priorities are in the aerospace and defense and the life science area.